woman who wrote to me said that they worked on the set of It Ends With Us, okay? And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively, it's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds. And now I look at him and I just go, how did I not see? This is the backstory. Comes to set, reviews the dailies, the raw footage, whatever that was shot today, reviews the script, and then he goes into his trailer, allegedly. Don't gag order or sue me, Ryan Reynolds. Okay, I don't want to be involved in all the drama. I'm just telling my audience what I was told. He goes into Blake Lively's trailer and they have an argument. All of the production assistants overheard the argument, okay? Now, what was at the root of that argument? We don't know, but we can assume it had something to do with what he saw in these dailies, what he read in the script. Who even knows what led him to even visit on this day? And the person says that from that day forward, he started involving himself, that he basically became a chaperone for her on set. He was there basically every day, involved in the projects, wanting to rewrite lines, and suddenly Ryan Reynolds was trying to wrangle this project from Justice. Take my advice. Narrator, she did not listen. She did not take my advice at all. I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaints.
Okay, Justin Baldoni is bringing the receipts. And what I mean by that is Justin Baldoni just dropped 10 minutes of unedited footage from It Ends With Us. And this footage seemingly directly negates some of Blake Lively's claims in her harassment lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. At the beginning of the footage, we see Blake and Justin essentially talking about logistics. They're talking about lighting, finding their marks, whether or not they should be talking or just staring at.
Have you ever wondered what really goes down when cameras stop rolling on a big Hollywood production? Sometimes it's not just about missed lines and temperamental lighting. There are moments of tension so thick you could cut them with a prop knife, and rumors so wild they threaten to overshadow the entire project. That's exactly what's happening right now with the film adaptation of It Ends With Us. First glance, it promised to be a heartfelt romantic drama, but as fresh reports keep emerging, it's starting to look more like a real-life courtroom thriller. Allegations, secret footage, PR leaks, cameo appearances by unexpected A-listers. This story has it all. Many initially assumed that if friction existed, it might be between the movie's co-leads, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Yet the deeper you go, the more complicated it becomes.
Show of hands if you stayed up until midnight waiting for Blake Lively to drop this freaking amendment. Okay, am I the only person with their hands raised? Are you guys just here to plagiarize because you know I went through every line like a complete psycho? That's perfectly fine. I just want you guys to know rather, that if you're here because you think there's some bombshell in here, as her lawyers were alluding to, oh, wait until everybody sees everything, you're gonna be sorely disappointed, because if clickbait was an amendment, this is it. Okay, I cannot believe it. And there's so much more going on here. Now we really see the target of everything, I think. Really the linchpin for her lawsuit, the person that she went after. We have to discuss Isabella.
Behind every accusation stands another twist. And behind every twist stands a possibility that none of us saw coming. Is Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, actually the one pulling the strings? Or is Justin Baldoni simply fighting back against a carefully orchestrated attack on his reputation? Perhaps it's neither. With raw footage surfacing, lawsuits piling up, and Candace Owens chiming in to shift the blame entirely, nobody can say for sure who's in the right. If you think you already know how this ends, think again. There's so much more happening below the surface. Things that might shock even the most seasoned Hollywood insiders. Buckle up, because we're about to dive headfirst into the chaotic world of It Ends With Us, where everyone seems to have a hidden agenda. And believe me, once you hear the details, you'll never look at these celebrity faces the same way again.
This was a sinister PR move. Blake Lively then moved 11 days later to file a lawsuit. So now she has filed a lawsuit, and I don't think she ever wanted to do this. I think she genuinely wanted this to be a PR move, and she wanted to leak it to the New York Times. She thought the public would take her side with no questions asked. And instead the public is saying, no, we have a few questions here. And Justin Baldoni is going all the way to the wall on this. His lawyer is already giving interviews explaining just how nasty her team has played this. The lawyer's name is Brian Friedman. He stopped by the Megyn Kelly show, and here's some of the things that he had to say. First, he says there used to never be a sexual claim. There never was a sexual claim until she went to that civil rights office. Take a listen.
There was actually no allegation of sexual harassment until the lawsuit.
It all started like any other big film production. A star-studded cast, a script based on a best-selling novel, and high expectations. Behind the polished press statements and social media posts, however, whispers of friction began circulating. People close to the production hinted at odd scheduling changes, last-minute rewrites, and unusual visitors arriving on set. Extras noticed certain high-profile individuals slipping in and out of trailers, particularly an unannounced appearance from Ryan Reynolds on days he wasn't supposed to be there. Nobody initially suspected anything out of the ordinary. After all, spouses sometimes visit each other's sets for moral support, especially when a movie is expected to be a major commercial hit. But the presence of major stars who weren't officially involved in the project soon set tongues wagging. Some crew members claim the atmosphere on set took a turn for the worse once these surprise visits started happening. Tension seemed to build at an alarming rate, prompting the rumor mill to shift into high gear. Allegedly, everyone had a slightly different story. Some believed it was simply creative differences between the leads. Others hinted that new dialogue demanded by outside parties clashed with the original script. More than a few people said Justin Baldoni was trying to maintain directorial control, only to be stonewalled by Blake Lively's behind-the-scenes influence. But that was only scratching the surface. As it turns out, the real drama was just beginning.
Justin Baldoni is now involving Taylor Swift in his lawsuit against Blake Lively. So Justin Baldoni is suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicists for over $400 million for all the It Ends With Us drama. Now he's name-dropping Taylor Swift, Blake's bestie, in the mix. Thankfully, Taylor Swift is not being sued, but she's mentioned in his 179-page paper complaint, and he's alleging that Taylor's fame was used to pressure him during production. And it really all stems from this penthouse situation where Blake and Ryan live. Apparently there was a meeting there with all of them, and Taylor Swift was actually present, and Blake ended up rewriting one of the scenes. And even after the meeting was over, Baldoni texted Blake this, saying, "I gotta put my glasses on for this one, the font is too small. Also was working on the rooftop scene today. Really love what you did. Makes it so much more fun and interesting, and I would have felt the same way without Ryan and Taylor."
When trouble brews in Hollywood, the public often sees carefully crafted statements designed to put out fires. But Justin Baldoni appears to have taken a very different approach. Instead of a measured press release or polite denial, he shared what he claimed to be raw, unedited behind-the-scenes footage from It Ends With Us. According to Baldoni, these clips directly challenge some of the statements Blake Lively made against him. In the footage that leaked online, we see snippets of normal production life. The two leads working with lighting technicians, determining blocking for a scene, and hashing out whether dialogue should be improvised or strictly follow the script. On the surface, it looks innocent, just routine collaboration. Yet the footage also captures unscripted moments between Lively and Baldoni, including a slow dance sequence that seems far more casual than the uncomfortable experience previously alleged in certain rumors. To Baldoni's camp, it's all evidence that counters any claims of his supposed misconduct. Of course, raw footage can be interpreted in more than one way. Skeptics argue that, even if the clips show Lively and Baldoni getting along, it doesn't erase other alleged moments that weren't caught on camera. Some fans insist that body language tells a different story, something less wholesome or less professional. And still, others point out that choosing which parts of the raw footage to share is, by its very nature, selective. Whose version can you trust? That question remains unanswered. But Baldoni's strategy of releasing receipts undeniably ramped up the tension, prodding Lively and her team to respond swiftly. But that wasn't the whole story, is what many watchers concluded. Once new claims about Ryan Reynolds' involvement hit the tabloids, Baldoni's footage threatened to weaken Lively's allegations. The next chapter of this saga would bring even more firepower to the table.
Followed by an attempted PR takedown of her to cover his own ass from people finding out what he did to her. In an article titled, "We Can Bury Anyone," Blake Lively heroically shared her story, and the world was on her side because it looked like she was just trying to take down a predator in Hollywood. So Justin Baldoni and his ace lawyer launched an all-cylinder fire attack to clear his name, and he started by suing the New York Times, saying that article was just published because it was paid for by Ryan Reynolds, and it was a multi-layered scheme planned out by Blake and Ryan to take down Justin. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that the mainstream media will lie on behalf of their powerful friends or anyone who pays them off to say certain things.
Nobody predicted that Ryan Reynolds would play such a pivotal part in the unfolding drama. Initially, most fans assumed his role in It Ends With Us was non-existent. He wasn't listed in the official credits, and there was no sign he'd even make a cameo. But rumors grew louder about him paying unannounced visits to the set, meeting with directors, and even reviewing daily footage. According to some accounts, Reynolds didn't simply swing by to check on Blake's well-being. He allegedly took a keen interest in the creative direction of the movie. Crew members claimed he was overheard having heated discussions about specific lines or scenes he found questionable. He might have viewed certain interactions between Lively and Baldoni as too intimate or off-script, fueling the tension even more. Then came the bombshell allegation. Reynolds supposedly marched over to Baldoni's talent agency to demand they drop him entirely. To those on the outside, it seemed extreme. Why would Reynolds go that far unless something serious had happened? Critics of Reynolds argue that he's essentially playing puppet master, wielding his significant Hollywood influence to push out a creative lead he disagrees with. Some on Baldoni's side say that Reynolds began micromanaging the production, forcing script rewrites and overshadowing the director's vision. True, it's a potent display of star power that few would challenge. But others maintain that Ryan was just trying to protect his wife. Perhaps he saw something he believed was unprofessional or damaging to Lively's reputation. Either way, his involvement added another intricate layer to an already tangled situation. And that's when another shocking twist emerged, teased media outlets, just as a polarizing figure known for stirring controversy decided to weigh in. Once Candace Owens entered the conversation, the story morphed from a behind-the-scenes film dispute into a full-blown Hollywood scandal.
It's called Discovery, where they share all of the information that may prove her case, and also Justin will seek information that will prove his. The only problem is that Justin's side is now responding, saying, hey, this isn't right. They just want blanket call logs of everything that went down. They'll use this to smear my client. So I'm going to share what Justin Baldoni had to say, but let's just do a quick refresher of the subpoenas, and then we've got our lawyer friend explaining why they think this is all just PR. So, sending out a series of subpoenas to cell carriers, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, as well as alleged social media manipulator Jed Wallace, the Gossip Girl vet, and Ryan Reynolds want to get a look at the real receipts.
Candace Owens has never been one to stay silent when a cultural firestorm is brewing. She jumped into the "it ends with us" quagmire with typical flamboyance, declaring in social media posts that the real villain wasn't who the public assumed. Contrary to the initial storyline painting Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni as the prime aggressor, Owens suggested that Ryan Reynolds might be orchestrating everything from behind the scenes. Her claims didn't end there. She alleged that behind-the-scenes staffers reached out to her personally, offering details on how Reynolds supposedly insisted on going through dailies, confronted Lively in her trailer, and then chaperoned the set to make sure things unfolded on his terms. Owens framed this as a classic case of Hollywood backdoor dealings, with Reynolds weaponizing his influence to overshadow both Lively's and Baldoni's creative contributions. She even floated the idea that Lively herself might just be a pawn in a bigger game orchestrated by her husband. Naturally, Owens's take led to divided opinions. Some praised her for exposing the truth, while others criticized her for chasing headlines. Did she really have credible sources? Or was this just another instance of a media personality creating buzz around a heated topic? The fact that Owens pointed the finger squarely at Ryan Reynolds was enough to shift the public narrative. Suddenly, more people started seeing him as a potential antagonist rather than a mere bystander. Just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, headlines began, introducing yet another twist. Reynolds' alleged behind-the-scenes meddling was only one piece of this puzzle. Soon, a major live television appearance stoked the controversy even further, as fans scrambled to figure out whether a snarky joke was actually a subtle jab at Baldoni.
Lively accused Justin Baldoni of acting creepy towards her, and how the whole set was super tense all the time. But I don't know, that kind of looked like two co-stars getting along. Moving on to another portion of the video, in her lawsuit, Blake Lively accused Justin Baldoni of making inappropriate comments about her body, which in his lawsuit, Justin Baldoni countered, saying, actually no, Blake Lively was the one who made fun of my nose. Roll the tape.
It's so nosy.
I know.
Noses.
And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then,
God.
For Saturday Night Live's big 50th anniversary special, anticipation was already sky high. The iconic show promised nostalgic callbacks, cameo appearances, and a star-packed celebration. Viewers settled in, expecting comedic sketches about pop culture, politics, and memorable references to SNL's storied history. What they didn't expect was a possible direct dig at Justin Baldoni. Some watchers claimed that Ryan Reynolds slipped an equip that night, and it felt a bit too specific to be coincidence. Officially, SNL's reps and Reynolds' spokesperson insisted it was an innocent joke, part of the show's typical comedic style. But Wally Fiston, one of SNL's longtime cue card handlers, supposedly told gossip outlets that Reynolds personally pitched the line. Whether or not that's accurate, the internet exploded with theories. Was it an offhand remark, or a calculated wink at the ongoing tension involving It Ends With Us? On social media, the debate reached fever pitch. Blake Lively hadn't commented publicly about it, but the timing was suspicious. Lined up with the surge in rumors that Lively was finalizing her lawsuit against Baldoni. If the joke truly referenced Baldoni's inappropriate behavior, as Lively's side called it, or if it referenced the uncomfortable on-set environment, it added to the impression that Reynolds was more involved than fans previously realized. And the footage that followed took the story to another level, teased tabloids, right before the biggest piece of alleged evidence hit the public domain. A slow dance scene, captured on camera in all its awkward glory, suddenly became the talk of Hollywood. Out of nowhere, a snippet from the It Ends With Us set made its way online, showing Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni participating in what looks like a slow dance rehearsal. The moment was meant to depict the characters sharing a deep connection, but in real life, it's fueled a heated back and forth among fans. Baldoni's supporters insist that the video disproves any notion of misconduct, highlighting how comfortable Lively appears during the dance. They point to her casual banter, the laughter in between steps, and the normalcy of co-stars working closely in a romance movie. In contrast, Lively's camp calls the exact same footage vindication for her claims. Her lawyers argue that the closeness and Baldoni's physical cues in those moments underscore a pattern of behavior that made Lively uneasy. They also maintain that a few seconds of clipped footage don't cancel out a broader timeline of repeated issues. It's reminiscent of classic, she said, battles, only magnified by the relentless power of the internet. In the eyes of the public, every gesture, glance, or offhand remark in this slow dance becomes potential evidence for one side or the other.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history. Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man, but he's, to me, is sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone. And so that's what happens to you, right? You run into somebody who seems like a witch who will take advantage of you and hurt you until finally even that kind of a guy rises up. Now, he didn't do it himself exactly. He hired a badass named Brian Friedman. And he has badass women like me defending him. Mm-hmm. But slowly but surely, I think the male class is learning down on the floor, squirming and apologizing for being a man is not.
Meanwhile, the rumor mill churns. Some interpret Lively's body language as stiff or forcibly polite. Others see a typical professional dynamic. But none of that prepared fans for the next revelation, the introduction of Taylor Swift's name into the legal arguments. The saga wasn't messy enough. Bringing one of the world's biggest pop stars into the fray raised the stakes even higher. Though Taylor Swift has no official role in It Ends With Us, her name popped up in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit documentation, hinting that she was present during critical script discussions at Blake Lively's and Ryan Reynolds' penthouse. According to Baldoni's side, Swift's massive fame was allegedly leveraged to sway decisions. One story claims that after a rooftop meeting involving Lively, Reynolds, Swift, and Baldoni, certain pivotal scenes were abruptly rewritten, ignoring Baldoni's creative input. People close to the production gossiped that the star power in that penthouse was astronomical, enough to overshadow any reservations Baldoni might have raised. For instance, some claim Swift voiced casual suggestions for changing the emotional tone of a scene, and Lively eagerly incorporated them. Others argue that Swift's presence was purely friendly, with no intention of muscling in on the film's direction. But the real question is, why name-drop Taylor Swift in a lawsuit if she had nothing to do with this conflict? Swift's fans jumped to her defense, labeling Baldoni's move a desperate attempt to gain leverage. However, Baldoni's attorneys insist this is about transparency. If major creative decisions took place during a private gathering involving famous personalities, then it's valid to include it in a legal document. Soon, the tabloids wrote, it wasn't just about personal grudges, it was all-out PR warfare. And sure enough, each side started pointing to the other's public relations strategies, claiming everything was a meticulously orchestrated smear campaign. Once accusations of PR manipulation started flying, the scandal ballooned far beyond a simple he said, she said. Reports surfaced claiming that someone on Blake Lively's team had been leaking internal HR complaints to major gossip outlets like TMZ and the Daily Mail. These alleged leaks included redacted documents hinting at behind-the-scenes friction, painting Baldoni in a damaging light. The suggestion was that these anonymous tips were part of a wider effort to discredit him and sway public opinion. But Baldoni didn't just sit back. In a bold counterattack, he launched a website, thelawuinfo.com, dedicated to clearing his name. There, he published text messages, emails, and behind-the-scenes tidbits that he claimed proved the conflict wasn't so one-sided. According to Baldoni, if the public saw the full context, they'd realize he was blindsided by a coordinated campaign designed to tarnish his career. Blake Lively's camp refuted these points by saying that everything in the lawsuit was accurate. They also implied that Baldoni's website was a manipulative tactic to cherry-pick evidence. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' potential involvement loomed large, with rumors swirling that he'd financed certain parts of Lively's legal strategy and used his SNL cameo to take a public dig at Baldoni. With all sides lawyering up, one question still remains, wrote tabloids and journalists everywhere. Is there a single truth to be found, or is this entire situation a kaleidoscope of conflicting perspectives? For those of us watching from the sidelines, it's impossible to figure out who started it, who escalated it, and who's genuinely wronged. From a distance, this might appear to be a routine Hollywood kerfuffle, another spat between co-stars that tabloids are blowing out of proportion. But the more details emerge, the more it ends with us feels like the set of a blockbuster thriller, complete with alleged sabotage, hidden motives, and bold-faced names stepping in at the most surprising moments. We have Justin Baldoni, risking his public image by sharing raw footage and launching a website to counter Blake Lively's accusations. We have Blake Lively, claiming to be deeply unsettled by incidents on set, and apparently backed by a formidable PR machine. We have Candace Owens, adding fuel to the fire with allegations that Ryan Reynolds is the real mastermind behind it all. And then there's the cameo mention of Taylor Swift, whose role in this fiasco remains a puzzle, but whose star power looms in the background.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
This was the first public appearance for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds since she filed her civil rights complaint. This is a big legal battle for the two of them. So we saw Ryan poke fun at their own woes. Right now they're obviously going through it, and I have to tell you that there actually is expected to be a big update in that legal saga this week. Blake Lively's attorneys have said that they are going to be filing an amended complaint against Justin Baldoni, and the judge set a deadline for tomorrow, so that can be coming very, very.
Was this just a movie that fell victim to creative disagreements? Or have we been witnessing a masterclass in Hollywood spin, where every leaked clip and social media post is just another strategic move in a high-stakes publicity war? No one knows for sure, but everyone is watching. With lawsuits escalating, new evidence potentially emerging, and more big names dragged into the spotlight, one thing's certain. This story is far from over. Now we want to hear your theories. Do you think Justin Baldoni is simply defending his integrity against a coordinated takedown? Could Blake Lively be telling the truth about feeling pressured and uncomfortable on set? Is Ryan Reynolds truly the secret power player running the show, or is he just stepping in to defend his wife? And how exactly did Taylor Swift end up in this labyrinth of allegations and counter-accusations? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any breaking updates on this extraordinary saga. One rumor, one video clip, and one lawsuit filing can change the narrative in an instant, and you can be sure we'll be here to keep you informed when the next bombshell drops. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.